Hare Krishna Prabhu. Something wrong with my phone.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Hare Krishna. Sorry, I'm just doing a couple of settings and
can you excuse me a moment, but my lad comes in around 7, so I've got to try and switch things around in the house, and then I should be able to pull out and go into the other room. So I'm going to probably mute myself and everything but I'll be hearing in. Is that all right for a little bit?
Yeah, absolutely fine.
Thank you. I'll get rid of the visuals where you won't really want to see me dancing around.
Absolutely fine. Yeah, no problem. Thank you.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Philips Prabhu, Dandavas Pranam. Nice to see you. So,
yes, Hare Krishna.
Gautami Mataji, Hamsi
Thank you for the clips. I've got them.
Ravi Kiran Mataji, Meena Mataji, and others will be joining, but I think we have to start. Hare Krishna. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Mudirayet Nashta Prayeshva Badreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavatyuttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtuki. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So Hare Krishna everyone. Thank you very much for tuning in today. As Madhav Kumar Prabhu had mentioned that we're going to do a quick review of the 7 chapters today. That is going to be a big task. Reviewing one chapter itself is a big thing, but however, it will be very short summary of the 7 chapters. I know that some of you have joined a little later. So the idea is that we just review these 7 chapters, give a little synopsis, and then next week we will just do a small quiz, and we will explain how we're going to do. And Madhav Kumar Prabhu, I think he will explain. So he had joined. Hare Krishna, Madhav Kumar Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Namaskar. Jai Prabhupada.
So Madhav Kumar Prabhu will explain at the end. Let me begin the overview or short summary of the 7 chapters. So here we go, chapter 1. But before that, I just want to mention one very important point that when we hear something, my realization is that let's give full attention. Whatever this 1 hour, just focus on understanding Srimad Bhagavatam. Anyway, in normal, over the rest of the day, we have so many other activities, we get distracted. But if we can, when we are coming here, at least, let's give that 1 hour, solid 1 hour to understand Srimad Bhagavatam. And every day you can do 10-15 minutes of reading. That's the minimum thing. So chapter 1 is entitled Questions by Sages. So Vyasdev is the author of Srimad Bhagavatam. He begins the Srimad Bhagavatam. The first 3 verses are prelude, a bit of introduction to Srimad Bhagavatam. So how does he begin? He immediately offers his obeisances to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna. And then he glorifies Srimad Bhagavatam being very pure and completely free from material motivations. And it is like a nectar. And it is the ripened fruit of all the Vedic literature that is available. Ripened fruit. And it has become even more sweeter because it has emanated from the lotus mouth of Srila Shukadeva Goswami. That was the introduction Vasudev gives. Then there is a setting of scene, questions by sages. Sages headed by Shaunaka were gathered in the place of Naimisharanya, a forest known as Naimisha, which is a very holy place. So it is considered to be the center of the hub of the entire universe, So whatever we do at that place will be transmitted to the entire universe. So that's why they chose that place to perform a sacrifice that would last for 1,000 years. And this is to please Krishna and his devotees, thereby invoke the auspiciousness for people in general. And so when they were doing, I think it was nearly at the end of their 1,000-year sacrifice, there came Suta Goswami. So then the sages, they offered him nice place, glorified him, and mentioned how great he was, how humble he was, how expert he was in the various Vedic literatures. And then they made inquiries from him. This is how the Vedic system works. Inquiring from a person who is expert in the subject matter. And the sages were very much eager to inquire from him. And they posed 6 questions. And we will discuss those 6 questions in chapter 2 and chapter 4. I do not want to mention here because the answers were there in the second chapter 2 and chapter 3. But some of the points that we want to mention here, these sages, so they are actually, they're asking all these questions for not the benefit of, not for their own benefit, but for the benefit of whole humankind. That's one important point. And secondly, they had immense faith, in saintly people. They tell Suta Goswami that just by association with the saintly people, one gets purified. Whereas one associate, even Ganga, Mother Ganga takes longer time to purify, whereas the saintly people purify those who came in touch with them very quickly. And they also had immense faith in the holy name of the Lord. They say that just by uttering the holy name of the Lord, even at once unconsciously, will be delivered immediately. This holy name is, fear. The fear personified is upright of the holy name. And they asked all these questions, knowing the condition of the people of Kali Yuga. In Kali Yuga, people are less intelligent. They are short-lived. and they are quarrelsome. And on top of everything, they're always disturbed. Um, so that's why they were making some very good inquiries. One of the first inquiry they made was that what is the ultimate good for people in general? See, a wonderful question. Generally, materialistic people say, what is the ultimate good for me? Let me just mute a couple of people. Yes, mute there. You wanted to say sorry?
Yeah.
I did
If you
not
don't
see
mind.
because I was on a different screen.
No problem, no problem. Prabhuji, I hope you don't mind me asking. This is a very, very basic question. We went through all the 7 chapters, but maybe I'm asking on behalf of everyone. There's a little bit of a confusion as to how Suta Goswami and Sukadev Goswami connect, as to who's placed where. So I know that Parishad Maharaj is listening from Sukadev Goswami,
Yes.
and the sages in Naimisha forest are headed by Shaunaka Rishi. They are asking Suta Goswami the questions.
Yes.
How are Suta and Sukadev Goswami linked?
Okay, so just to little bit. Do you want me to answer your question, or yeah, our Shukadev Goswami and Suta Goswami linked? Is that your question?
Yeah.
Because Suta Goswami, Suta Goswami heard from Shukadev Goswami while he was narrating the subject matter to Parikshit.
Perfect.
Okay.
That's
so
it.
Just to give the whole, but that will come anyway. So okay. So Bhagavatam was compiled by Vasudev.
Yeah.
And Vasudev instructed it to his son, Shukadev Goswami.
Yeah.
Shukadev Goswami later he narrated entire Srimad Bhagavatam to Maharaj Parikshit, who was on the verge of his death.
Yeah.
While he was narrating to Parikshit Maharaj, in that assembly, Suta Goswami, the son of Romarshan Suta, was present.
Yeah.
He heard with rapt attention, and he remembered everything. We don't remember, even after this class, I'm struggling to remember after, these 7 chapters. So he remembered everything. And later the same Suta Goswami, actually Shukadev Goswami says this in his conversation, in this assembly, Suta Goswami, Mr. Suta Goswami is there. He will narrate the same thing to the sages at Naimisharanya.
Okay.
So Suta Goswami heard later, it's by the will of the Lord, by the arrangement of the Lord, he came to Naimisharanya, the forest of Naimisha, where the sages were performing the sacrifice. And the head of those sages was Shaunaka.
Yeah.
So Shaunaka, on behalf of the sages and on behalf of all of us, he is asking inquiries from Suta Goswami. Because Suta Goswami is expert, he heard it from Shukadev Goswami, and also learned. He had several other gurus.
Good.
Does it
clarify? Yeah. So this is story in a story in a story in a story, isn't it? Disciplic bona fide. Heard from one, passed on to the other, like that.
Yes. So beautiful.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for taking the time.
Shall I carry on? Because you gave me only 45 minutes. I'm trying to finish everything in 45 minutes. Nice to see Gaura Arti Mataji. Hare Krishna. Okay.
So the first question was ultimate good for people in general.
Ultimate good for people in general. So those are the sort of the questions. But what we can learn from the sages, that is important for us. The learning point, I would say, is that what we can learn from these sages headed by Shaunaka. Eager to ask questions, eager to make inquiries. But what kind of inquiries? All related to the spirituality.
Yeah.
And not for their own benefit, for the benefit of others. So those are the points that we can learn, and they are very eager to hear. They can hear, like they were telling, that we will never be, There won't be enough in our life. So you can carry on narrating these pastimes. We would be able to hear forever. So, and those 6 questions, of course, we will discuss. And the second chapter is entitled Divinity and Divine Service. So here, the sages, made the sages headed by Shaunaka made inquiries. So, and then Suta Goswami, who is the son of Romaharshana Sutta, so he started to reply, answering those questions. But before he answers the nice format that he doesn't answer the questions immediately, but first he offers his respects to his own spiritual master. Who was his spiritual master? Who was Suta Goswami's spiritual master?
Narada.
Suta Goswami's spiritual master.
Shukdev.
Shukdev.
He heard
Shukdev
from
Goswami. Because that's where he heard it from, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yes. So he heard Bhagavatam from Shukadeva Goswami. So he started to offer obeisances. So in 2 verses, he offered full respects to his spiritual master, Shukadeva Goswami. And then he offered respects to all the great personalities, Supreme Lord, Mother Saraswati, Vyasdev, and Nara and Rishi. So this is the format. And then he glorifies that, oh sages, you asked wonderful questions. Your questions are glorious because they are related to Krishna. Just by asking such questions relating to Krishna, one will become happy. This is one point you remember. This is verse number 5, 2:5. Yes? Munahya sadhu prishtoham bhavadbir lokamangalam yat krutaha Krishna samprashna yenatma suprasidati. So if you want to become happy, actually just ask questions relating to Krishna. And we will get the answers. And then, so he answered the first question. The first question was, and that what is the ultimate? What is the ultimate good for people in general? This was asked in 119. 119. What is the ultimate good, Shreya? And the second question was, what is the essence of all scriptures? That is 1111. So first question, what is the ultimate good for people in general? And what is the essence of all scriptures? Because wonderful questions, isn't it? There are so many things that are little beneficial, but they want to know what is the ultimate good. And scriptures talk so many things. In so many places, they give so many instructions. And another very important question is that what is the essence of all scriptures? So for these 2 questions, the answer is actually same. This was answered in verse 6 and 7 of the 2nd chapter. As verse 6 says in the 2nd chapter, Savai pumsam paro dharmo yato bhakti radokshaje ahaitukiya pratiyata yayatma suprasidati. That the ultimate good for people in general is to develop love of Godhead. Develop love of Godhead. Develop bhakti to Krishna. That is the ultimate good. And that is also, and the essence of all scriptures is to render the devotion to Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna. So develop love of Krishna and render devotional service unto Krishna. That is the essence of all scriptures. And how do we develop this love of Krishna? And that is explained in the 2nd chapter, that it begins with the service to saintly people. Begins with service to saintly people, and by regularly hearing Srimad Bhagavatam. When we serve saintly people, we develop the urge to hear. You know, urge. Sometimes, you know, people are urged to go to toilet, urge to eat something. You know, they can't control that urge. So when we serve saintly people, we develop urge to hear Bhagavad. And when we hear Bhagavatam, Nashtapraye Shabadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya, Bhagavatyuttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtuke. So when we do Nityam Bhagavata Seva, it is said, this point is quite important, that regularly hearing Bhagavatam, regularly reading Bhagavatam, it's not just one-off. You know why not one-off? Because we are so much conditioned that, you know, I see that, you know, now Madhav Kumar Prabhu, you know, asked me to do the summary of these 7 chapters. So I spent a reasonable amount of time, you know, going through, and then learned quite a bit. So we are connected, because when we don't read and hear, we are naturally conditioned, and our mind thinks that we are this body and we belong to this world, like that. But as soon as we hear, it changes our consciousness because of our understanding. So that's why regular attendance, regular hearing, regular reading of Srimad Bhagavatam, what it does is that it will remove all the troublesome, all that is troublesome to the heart, and then one develops bhakti. When we serve, the sequence is, when we serve saintly people, we develop urge to hear. When we hear regularly, what happens is that mode of passion, mode of ignorance is destroyed. And mode of passion and mode of ignorance, they cause the troubles, all the unwanted things that we have because of them. And then we develop bhakti. So the essence is Nityam Bhagavat Sevaya. There are 2 types of Bhagavatas. Bhagavata means devotees. Book Bhagavatam and person Bhagavatam. Person Bhagavatam means a pure devotee. Book Bhagavatam is the book Bhagavatam. We can serve one of them, or either. We can serve both also. We have Prabhupada, so we follow his instructions, and then we serve him by following his instructions. And how do we serve book Bhagavatam? By regular reading and hearing, and also explaining. So those are the 2 questions that are answered. And then the third question was that they asked in 1:1:12, that tell us why Lord Krishna appeared in the womb of Devaki. So this question was answered in the 2nd chapter, verse 34. Suta Goswami says that Lord Krishna appeared to reclaim people who are in mode of goodness, to reclaim his own devotees, basically. And then there is a 4th question that is asked in 1:1:17. Tell us the acts that Lord performs in relation to creating this material world. Tell us about the Purusha incarnations. Purusha incarnations are connected to this creation of the material world. So they were answered in 1:30 to 33. So we know that how the Purusha, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he lies in the ocean of Karna, and from him 2nd incarnation comes, that is called Garbhodak Sai Vishnu. The 1st incarnation is Karnodak Sai Vishnu. From him comes Garbhodak Sai Vishnu. So when Karnodaksai Vishnu, the first Purusha, when he lies in the ocean of causal ocean, from his skin pores, these universes comes. And into each universe, the same Karnodaksai Vishnu, in the form of Garbhodaksai Vishnu, second Purusha, enters, and with his perspiration, he off-fills the universe. And from his navel lake, the lotus comes, and on top of the lotus, Lord Brahma appears. And so from the second Purusha, that is Garbhodaksai Vishnu, third Purusha comes, third person, that is called Kshirodaksai Vishnu. He enters into each and every atom of this material universe. Material universe. And so that's where it ends, the second chapter. And then third chapter is entitled Krishna is the source of all incarnations, right? Is this space okay? Because I have to complete 7 chapters. I'm sorry if I'm going fast, but
it's perfect.
Discussed. Yes.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hari,
Just
Hari.
one question. You
Sure.
know, Kshirodakshai Vishnu, is he the super soul?
Yes, he's the super soul of every living entity. Yes, that's right.
Thank you.
Thank you. So third chapter is entitled as Krishna is the source of all incarnations, right? So again, Sutta Goswami in the beginning of this chapter, he talks a little bit about the same thing about the Purusha incarnations, the 3 Purushas, Karnodaksai Vishnu, Garbhodaksai Vishnu, Kshirodaksai Vishnu. He talks a little bit about that. And then he tried to answer is the 5th question, right? What was so we discussed the 4th question, and the 5th question was asked in 1:1:18. The question was, tell us the pastime incarnations of the Lord, Leela Avtaras. So pastime incarnations. And then, so Sutta Goswami describes 22 incarnations of the Lord in the 3rd chapter. And, beginning from the, Kumaras, Narad, like that, various Narsimha, Rama, like that. And in the 22, he also mentions, interestingly, Krishna and Balram as 19 and 20th. So, he mentions in verse 28 that this is a famous verse everybody has to remember. If you can memorize the Sanskrit, this is good. If not, at least the English meaning can be memorized. 1:3:28. Sutta Goswami, after describing the 22 incarnations, which, where Krishna and Balram were also included as an incarnation, just to avoid confusion, he says, Etes cham shakalapum saha Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam Indrari Vyakulam Lokam Mrudayanti Yuge Yuge. All these incarnations are portions of the plenary portions of Krishna. And Krishna, however, Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead himself.
That's
Yes.
confusing because we said that Krishna, everything, all the incarnations emanate from Krishna.
Sure.
But then here we are saying we're including Krishna as an incarnation.
That's what, Sutta Goswami clarifies that Krishna is not an incarnation, rather he is the source of incarnation. 1:3:28 says that, just to avoid confusion.
But it's counted as 19 and 20.
Yeah, he just mentions that. Yeah, he just mentions Krishna comes as it is. He's not incarnation, but he's source of all the incarnation. But Krishna comes as he is. Whereas all other incarnations are the potencies, portions of Krishna. That's what Sutta Goswami clarifies. And he also says that Krishna comes in the various incarnations. Sometimes he may appear as vegetable. Every species, actually. There are 8,400,000 of species that exist, Suta Goswami says that Krishna comes in every species, even in the form of a vegetable also. And then at the end of third chapter, Suta Goswami talks about Bhagavad, that because these sages asked, they wanted to hear more about Krishna, so he thought he would narrate entire Bhagavatam. And he mentions that how this Bhagavatam is literary incarnation of Godhead Krishna. It is non-different from Krishna. Idam Bhagavatam Nama Puranam Brahma Samhitam. It is actually non-different from Krishna. It is literary incarnation of Krishna. And then he also answers the sixth question. Anybody remembers the fifth question? Fifth question was?
Pastimes.
Sorry?
Pastimes.
Pastime incarnations. Fourth question was? Purusha incarnations, incarnation relating to creating this material world. And the sixth question was that, after Krishna had left this planet, where did the religious principles have taken shelter? That is asked in 1:123. After Krishna had left, where did the religious principles go? Did the religious principles go with Krishna, or did they take shelter of something else? And so that question was answered in 1:343. So Suta Goswami says that these religious principles have actually taken shelter of Srimad Bhagavatam. Those people who have lost their sight due to dense darkness of ignorance because of the age of Kali can get light from this Purana. This Purana is compared to light. So now there is a little bit of light on my face. See, you can't see me very much. Yes? So there's a big difference. I can't even read anything if there is darkness. So it is like sun. It illuminates. There is darkness in our heart. And when we read Bhagavatam, so it lights up. Everything lights up. So Suta Goswami says that the religious principles have taken shelter of the Srimad Bhagavatam. The Srimad Krishna disappeared and reappeared in the form of Srimad Bhagavatam. Srimad Bhagavatam is literary incarnation of Krishna. And Vasudev compiled it. Vasudev instructed it to his son, Shukadeva Goswami, and this Shukadeva Goswami narrated it to Parikshit Maharaj. While he was narrating to Parikshit Maharaj, I was there in that assembly. I heard it with rapt attention, and I would like to narrate the Srimad Bhagavatam to you all. That's where it ended. Third chapter ended. And the fourth chapter. Is that okay so far? The face is okay?
Yes, thank you.
So fourth chapter is that appearance of Sri Narad. So then after hearing about Bhagavatam, at the end of the third chapter, Suta Goswami mentions interesting points that Vasudev compiled Srimad Bhagavatam, and then he instructed to Shukadeva Goswami, and then he narrated it to Shukadeva Goswami, narrated to Parikshit. So sages have made some inquiries again, sages headed by Shaunaka. And these were three sets inquiries, three sets. The first set related to Bhagavad. What is the history of Bhagavad? When did he compile? Why did he compile? Where did he get his inspiration to compile this Srimad Bhagavad? So those are the sets of questions, inquiries. And the second sets related to his son, because you are telling he instructed to son, Shukadeva Goswami, but Shukadeva Goswami was a liberated person. Shukadeva Goswami, when he was traveling, when he was going to the forest. The girls, young girls, they were taking bath. They did not even care to cover their own bodies because Shukadeva Goswami was at that platform. He could not distinguish between male and female. Whereas Vasudev did so. So how come that, he needed this Srimad Bhagavatam, and he was also fully liberated sage, and he wouldn't go to any householder. He was just roaming in the forest. How come he came in touch with Maharaj Parikshit? He was king. So second set of inquiries was related to Shukadeva Goswami, and third set relates to Parikshit Maharaj. Parikshit Maharaj, he was a pure devotee. Why? Why did he leave his kingdom? His enemies were completely surrendered to him. He had beautiful wife, nice kingdom. Everything was under his control. What is the need for him to give up everything to, and retire? And hear the Srimad Bhagavatam. So these were the three sets of inquiries they made. First set related to Bhagavatam, history of Bhagavatam. Second set relating to Shukadeva Goswami. He was already liberated, and there is no need for him to, hear Bhagavatam. And he was roaming in the forest. How come he came in touch with Parikshit Maharaj? He usually doesn't go to any householder. And then third set related to Maharaj Parikshit, that, why did he renounce and went to, sit on the bank of Ganges? What made him to do so? And then, so the first, Sukta Goswami tried to answer the first question, and that is relating to history of Bhagavatam. Yes, and he says that Vasudev, who is actually an incarnation of Sri Krishna, that he observed, he saw anomalies in this particular age, Kali Yuga. So to benefit people in general, and he noticed that people of this age are not too sharp, they're less intelligent. So he divided one Veda into 4 Vedas, and then he imported that each Veda into each person, each of his disciple. And then he also compiled Puranas, because the Puranas are in the story form. Vedas are only principles. It's very difficult to understand the principle. Whereas the Puranas, they are in the story form, easy to understand. We also get the meaning, essence of them. And he composed Mahabharata also. So after doing this great job, why did he do this? Why did he do this job? It is to benefit the humankind again. All these saintly people, they take pain. This Bhagavatam was in Sanskrit. We couldn't have understood, but Srila Prabhupada took pain to put it in simple, plain English for all of us. And not only that, he had also take the essence from the Acharya's teaching. When we read the Srimad Bhagavatam, there are the purports from Sridhara Swami, who is the original commentator of Srimad Bhagavatam, and Baldev Vidyabhushan and Vishnu Chakravarti, and all the previous acharyas. There, Prabhupada is giving essence. So saintly people, they take pain. Prabhupada took so much pain, like, sometimes I wonder, there are so many distractions when you try to manage, when you try to involve in administration, there are so many disturbances. But in spite of all the disturbances, Prabhupada compiled the Srimad Bhagavatam for our sake. So let us take a little step. Just sorry, go on.
Please repeat. Original commentator is Sridhar
Swami.
Sridhar Swami, and then?
Then we also have Baldev, Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur's commentary is also there.
Thank you, Prabhu.
And other acharyas, wherever possible, he quotes from Ramanujacharya, he quotes from Yamunacharya. Prabhupada gives so many times, and he quotes from Bhaktivinoda Thakur and Bhaktivedanta Saraswati also. So the point here is that just like Vyasdev, Prabhupada also took pain for our sake. To put it into simple English, just imagine we wouldn't have got any of this knowledge if it was only available in Sanskrit. We are so fortunate to have this thing. So even after compiling Vyasdev, all this, 1 Veda to 4 Vedas and Puranas and then Mahabharata, he felt incomplete in his own heart. And he started to question himself. Why am I feeling incomplete? I've done a great job. But why am I feeling still incomplete? Maybe he's questioning, he's thinking within his mind that maybe I've not glorified the Supreme Lord enough. That could be the reason. He was just contemplating like this. And then, let me see, there is some chart, somebody could, yeah. So then at that time, Narad came. Narad came to see Vyasdev. Interesting point here, that when you have a doubt, when you have a genuine inquiry, that, Krishna will send someone to answer those inquiries for you. Vyasdev did not request Narad to appear there, but Narad appeared on the scene. Because he had a genuine inquiry. Why am I feeling incomplete? I've done a great job. I must I was probably not glorified that Supreme Lord enough. This could be the reason why. And then, so when saintly people comes, what do? You offer an elevated seat, you pay respects, and you wash their feet, and that's what Vyasdev did. And then, so he made him, he offered a nice seat. And then, so there was, inquiries from Narad, Vyasdev, oh, you've done a great job of doing everything. So what do you want now? So Vyasdev says, my Lord, please point out the root cause for my dissatisfaction. So here I just wanted to say one point, that however much we read, however much we study, however much we progress materially, yes, that will not satisfy the soul, because soul's nature is to serve Krishna, is to engage in devotional service of Krishna, is to hear and glorify Krishna. When that is missing, however much we give, we will not be able to satisfy. So Vyasdev was not satisfied. What to speak of other people? These impersonalists, they try to do so many things. They try to do Vedic literatures and Vedas. Vyasdev himself was not satisfied. There is the question of these impersonalists get satisfied. And Narad says, yes, the root cause is that you've not glorified the Supreme Lord enough. You glorified here and there, but not enough. Fully broadcasted the message of glories of Sri Krishna. That is the root cause. And then Narad glorifies devotion. How great this simple devotion is. And he glorifies that in the devotional service, even one speaks, one is unable to speak properly. There may be, now I am speaking. I've not come prepared for this entire lecture, how to start, how to end, how to, do in the middle. I'm just speaking naturally, the way it comes. So Narad says that even there are so many faults in compiling, in uttering, in repeating this message, still it is pure. Still it is pure. And it is beneficial to whole humankind. So you have actually given license people to enjoy on the name of religion. You're glorified. Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha means the religion, perform religion to get economic development. And then once you get money, then you fulfill your desire, and then you look for liberation. So on the name of religion, you give license people to engage in these 4 principles. You have actually not glorified the Supreme Lord. Actually, that itself, the devotion unto the Supreme Lord itself fulfills, satisfies people in general. And then he tells his own story. That see how powerful is this devotion. This devotion involves, as we said in the 2nd chapter summary, first serving a saintly person. Serving saintly people and hearing from them. These are the 2 things, serving and hearing from them. That is the end, devotional service. So he tells that although in the previous millennium, in the previous day of Brahma, 4.32 billion years ago, I was son of a maid servant. I had no qualification. And in the 4 months of rainy season, these Bhaktivedanta, saintly people came to my place, and my mother, who was a maid servant, was serving them, menial service. And I was also with my mother, and I just followed my mother. And I took their association. I heard them. I served them like my mother was doing. And only once, with their permission, I took some leftover remnants of their food. That's it. That made me become Narad. And he also tells that this is how powerful the devotion is. And then Vasudev, in the 5th chapter, in the 6th chapter, is that right? Yes. So in the 6th chapter, so Narad, Vasudev asks, what did you do? You were telling that you associated with these saintly people, you served them, and you heard from them, and they were there with you for 4 months. And after 4 months, they had gone. After they had gone, what did you do? How did you pass your life? How did you get this body? And how did you remember that, this happened in the previous day of Brahma? We can't remember what had happened just a few days ago. How do you remember this? This happened in the previous day of Brahma. And Nara says that after they had left, one fine day, my mother, when she was milking a cow in the night, she was bitten by a serpent and she died. And that time I was only 5-year-old. And I took that as a special mercy. Interesting point, very interesting point. He did not curse Krishna. He did not say, Krishna, I had associated with the saintly people. My mother served saintly people. This is what you give in return to me? No, he didn't say. He actually took it as a special mercy of the Lord. And then after his mother had left, he just started walking towards north, and he passed through several gardens and mountains and snake yards. He was fearless. He was only 5-year-old. He went and he sat under a banyan tree, and he quenched his thirst by drinking water in the river, and he started to meditate upon the Lord within his heart, who is residing in everyone's heart, following in the footsteps of Bhaktivedantas, as the Bhaktivedantas have instructed him. And he saw, within a few moments, he saw Lord Krishna within his heart. And he had ecstatic feelings. He was really thrilled. But he disappeared immediately from his sight. The Lord disappeared. And then he tried to do that again several times, and he couldn't. Lord Krishna says that, those who have not completed their full service, so cannot see me, cannot attain me. So Narad I gave my audience just to increase your taste for your devotion. And then Lord Krishna spoke and left. And Narad after that, so he just wandered without any fear. Just like Prabhupada circled the globe 14 times, every country. So Narad, he just wandered without any fear. All the time, what he was doing? Constantly chanting the glories of the Lord, chanting the holy name of the Lord. That's it. Every time he was just doing like this. And Narad says one beautiful verse in chapter 6, verse 34. Etadhyatura chittanam. So in verse 34, he says that, this chanting, this glorification, constant hearing of Krishna's name, it acts as a boat to cross over this material ocean. So we can create our own boat. Everybody can create their own boat to cross over this material ocean. Material ocean is repeated birth and death, repeated birth and death. We can cross, but Haricharyanu Varnanam, constantly hearing and chanting the glories of Lord Hari. If we do that, that acts as a boat. So that one point we take from that chapter. Haricharyanu Varnanam, simply glorifying or hearing and chanting the holy name of the Lord. And then, so after instructing, after glorifying the devotion, Narad left from that place. And the chapter 7 is entitled The Son of Drona Punished. And it begins, Shaunaka asking, "Oh Suta, what did Vasudev do after Narada left?" He met Narad. Narad narrated his own personal story and he instructed and that, he should glorify the Lord and compose something on devotional service. What did Vasudev do? And Suta Goswami says that Vasudev is sat and he lives in Badrikashram and on the bank of river Saraswati. He's got his own ashram. He sat on the bank of river Saraswati. After touching the waters of river Saraswati for purification, he sat in meditation and bhakti yogi namanasi. By devotional service, he connected, he meditated on the lotus on Krishna. And what did he see? Apashat purusham purnam mayanchayat tadapashrayam. So when he meditated, he saw Lord Krishna. Along with Krishna, he also saw the external energy of Krishna, Maya, which is under full control. So cautious of Krishna, conscious of Krishna, cautious of Maya. Madhav Kumar Prabhu, I'll just take a few more minutes to finish this. And then he also saw how all the living entities are undergoing suffering because of this illusory potency of Maya. And then he also saw the remedial measure, that is devotion onto Adokshaja, devotion onto Krishna will be the remedy for their suffering, unlimited suffering. And that's why Vasudev composed the Srimad Bhagavatam. And if we just simply give oral reception to the Srimad Bhagavatam, we will develop bhakti. This is, people ask, how do I develop bhakti? Give oral reception to Srimad Bhagavatam. And when we develop bhakti, shoka, moha, bhaya, these will disappear. Shoka means all miseries. Moha means illusion. And then bhaya, we become fearlessness as a byproduct of bhakti. And then Suta Goswami says that he instructed it to his son after compiling, and sages asked, why does he need, Shukadeva Goswami was already liberated. There is no need for him to, learn this Srimad Bhagavatam. And Suta Goswami says, famous verse 1:7-10, that even the liberated people, they want to serve Lord Krishna. Liberation is not the end. Liberated people also take pleasure in glorifying and hearing Krishna. And then after saying that, Suta Goswami, I will narrate now Krishna in connection with Pandavas. And also he talks, how he brings how Parikshit Maharaj came into picture. So in that connection, he says at the end of the war of Kurukshetra battle, the son of Dronacharya killed the sleeping sons of Draupadi, 5 princes, when they were sleeping in a heinous act. His own master, his master Ashwatthama's master was Duryodhan. He was not satisfied. So seeing this, Arjuna took a vow that he would bring Ashwatthama and chop his head off and offer that as a gift to Draupadi. And he chased Ashwatthama. Ashwatthama, he was in danger, and to save his own life, he threw Brahmastra. So Brahmastra is not a physical weapon. You utter some mantras, chant some names, some mantras, sound vibration. Then Arjuna was in danger. Arjuna was fearful, and he didn't know what was happening. Then he offered prayers. He asked Krishna. Krishna says, "It is Ashwatthama who released this a nuclear weapon. The only way is that you release another nuclear weapon." And as advised by Krishna, Arjuna releases another Brahmastra, and it attracted both, and he captured Ashwatthama, took him to the camp of Pandavas. And the Pandavas, when they saw the bound Ashwatthama, they felt compassionate, because he was the son of their own spiritual master. And Draupadi said that, don't kill this person, because I am suffering because of my son's death. I don't want his mother to suffer like me. Yudhishthir says, yes, I agree. Nakul Sahadev also says, I agree. However, Bhima says that this person should be killed. And Krishna immediately says that a Brahmana should not be, a son of Brahmana should not be killed. But however, if he is a perpetrator, then he can be killed. So equivocal instruction: should not be killed, but he can be killed if he's a rascal number 1. So understanding this situation of this equivocal instruction of Krishna, Arjun, he chops, he shaves his head, cuts his hair, and also cuts the jewel that had on his head. This way, it's killing, insulting a person is as good as killing. So that's where this chapter ends. Hare Krishna. So thank you very much. 7 chapters. I never expected, Madhakumar Prabhu, you would give me this job. Thank you for being kind to me to repeat this wonderful message. I feel like that there is so much purification going on in my heart while reading this message. Thank you. And over to you now, Madhakumar Prabhu.
Prabhuji, thank you so much. I'm grateful and so hopeful for myself that in a reasonable amount of time, with your guidance and the association of so many sincere devotees, my Bhagavatam journey is taken off and hopefully will complete. So thank you for all that. So many wonderful points. I always remember this one verse from the 7th chapter where Arjuna is requesting Krishna to help, and Arjuna glorifies Krishna by saying, Krishna, Krishna, Mahabhav, Bhaktayam, Abhigankara. Get rid of all our fears. So absolutely wonderful messages to take home. Thank you so much, Prabhu. It's very nicely done. I hope everyone feels the same. We have nearly 23 people, and sometimes we don't get so many on Friday. So it's just amazing. We started this just to keep in touch in the COVID scenario, and it's this association has bloomed so wonderfully, and people are very sincerely just giving their time and attention. So it's just very enlivening and heartwarming as well. I've just made a note of all the names. May I ask who's logged in as iPhone?
That is Anuradha Mataji.
But Anuradha Mataji is showing separately as well,
Is
I
it?
think. Yeah.
I think Madhu